everywhere!
Look closely at this frame. In the final seconds of Bluey, the creator snuck in a detail so massive that it completely rewrote the show's entire history. An adult Bluey walks through the front door of her childhood home, while a tiny puppy holding a ball blaster hides behind it. Fans call her Indigo, but pay attention to that single floppy ear because it reveals who the father is. What if I told you this wasn't just a cute gag? Bluey isn't a simple kids show about a family of healers. It is a secret, sprawling 40-year timeline stretching from 1980s beach trips to the year 2027. And almost nobody noticed how all the pieces connect. Today, we're cracking open the complete secret timeline of Bluey. To understand where this timeline ends, we have to talk about the darkest moment, hidden right in the middle of it. A detail thousands of viewers walked right past. In the episode, the show, Bluey and Bingo perform a play depicting their parents' life. During the performance, Bingo puts a blue balloon under her shirt to pretend she's pregnant. Then, the balloon pops. Watch Bandit and Chilli in that exact moment. Bandit immediately reaches out and squeezes Chilli's hand. Why? Because before Bluey was ever born, Chilli was pregnant, and she lost the baby. Show creator Joe Brum himself confirmed that this subtle, heartbreaking moment was a tribute to a real-life loss. In a series full of games, it's one of the most quietly devastating pieces of lore, setting up just how precious Bluey's arrival truly was. So, how did Bandit and Chilli's story even begin? Well, it depends entirely on who you ask, because the timeline presents a major contradiction. Bandit's version takes us all the way back to the late 1980s in the episode Fairy Tale. A young, messy bandit gets jinxed by his older brother Radley at a caravan park, leaving him unable to speak. A young girl in a She-Ra costume guesses his name, breaks the jinx, and Bandit spends the next 30 years convinced that girl was Chilli. But ask Chilli? She completely denies it. According to Chilli, they met decades later as adults at a wild party in London, and her very first memory of Bandit was him picking his nose. Chilli has zero memory of the caravan park or the She-Ra costume, which leaves us with a wild timeline mystery. Did Bandit carry around a memory of a girl who forgot he existed? Or did he fall in love with someone else first? Either way, after London, they went backpacking through Europe and India, an era immortalized in a tiny framed photo hanging on the Healer house wall that almost everyone misses. Before they were the world's favorite parents, Bandit and Chilli grew up in two completely different worlds that shaped who they became. Bandit in the 1980s was far from the patient dad we see today. He was loud, messy, and loved picking on his younger brother Stripe. He spent his summers riding bikes and hanging out at the beach, still years away from learning how to care for someone smaller than himself. Chilli's childhood, however, was much tougher. Her maiden name was Chilli Cattle. Her father was a soldier constantly deployed away from home, and her mother, Mrs. Cattle, fell gravely ill. As revealed in Dragon, Chilli lost her mother at a very young age. Her father had to raise her alone near the swamps, teaching her how to swim in wild open waters and survive in the bush. That hardship is why Chilli is the resilient, deeply loving anchor of the Healer family today. When Bluey finally arrived, her baby years were full of struggles we only catch in quick flashbacks. In Baby Race, we learn Bluey was actually the last of her friend group, Coco, Snickers, and Judo, to learn how to walk. She didn't walk for a milestone. She took her first steps in the kitchen simply because she wanted a hug from Chilli. 2 years later, Bingo was born, and Bandit spent those early months wearing her in a baby carrier, forming that unbreakable father-daughter bond we'd see throughout the series. Even Bluey's early school life started before the show did. She was in Miss Retriever's class with Bob Bilby long before she ever set foot in Calypso's room. But the timeline takes a dark turn in Season 2 with Bingo's mysterious hospitalization in Bumpy and the Wise Old Wolfhound. While the show never names her condition, the doctor listens to Bingo's lungs from her back, a technique specifically used for respiratory illnesses. Joe Brum based this directly on his own daughter's real-life hospitalization for severe asthma at age 3. But if we are talking about Bingo's timeline in these early years, we absolutely cannot ignore what is widely considered the greatest episode of the entire series, Sleepytime. On the surface, it's just a breathtakingly beautiful dream about Bingo traveling through space. But look deeper into the timeline, and it represents the exact psychological milestone where Bingo begins to grow up. In her dream, Chilli is the sun, the literal warm center of Bingo's entire universe. As Bingo bravely drifts away to explore other planets, representing her taking her first real steps out of her parents' shadow, she gets scared and begins to cry. But the sun's rays reach out to warm her, and Chilli's voice echoes through space. Remember, I'll always be there for you, even if you can't see me.
Remember, I'll always be here for you, even if you can't see me.
This isn't just a stunning visual sequence, it is a crucial pivot point in the timeline. It marks the exact night Bingo transitions from a toddler needing constant physical comfort to an independent child who finally understands that her mother's love is permanent, even when they are apart. As the main series kicks off with Magic Xylophone, emotional growth accelerates. We watch Bluey navigate grief in Copycat and face her fears in Creek. But subtly, in episodes like Fruit Bat, seeds are planted for her future relationship with Mackenzie. And speaking of emotional milestones, we have to look at the slow burn buildup of Bluey and Mackenzie that leads directly to that flash-forward puppy reveal. The show didn't just throw them together for a shock factor at the end. The creators left a hidden breadcrumb trail of their connection for years, hiding a long-term romance right in the background of childhood games. In the episode Barky Boats, Bluey and Mackenzie are paired up as buddies alongside older kids, and they awkwardly begin to realize that growing up means their dynamic is eventually going to change. At the end of the episode, Calypso tells them a quiet story about two rivers navigating through rocks and valleys, only to eventually meet and flow together as one, heavily implying that Bluey and Mackenzie's paths are destined to cross permanently. Eagle-eyed fans have also noticed that across multiple seasons, whenever Bluey gets scared, overwhelmed, or takes things too far in a game, Mackenzie is almost always the very first character to step out of character and check on her. They were quietly building a partnership long before we ever saw that puppy behind the door. And everything in the timeline builds toward the 30-minute masterpiece episode, The Sign. Years of quiet side plots collide. Uncle Radley and Frisky finally tie the knot after nearly breaking up. Chilli's sister Brandy, after years of heartbreak, appears happily pregnant. Bandit almost sells their iconic home for a new job, only to realize he can't walk away from the memories built on those floorboards. And Grandpa Bob finally reappears after disappearing to India. The Sign resolved decades of family history in one sweeping stroke, but it set up something even bigger. Which brings us right back to that final episode of Season 3, Surprise. When adult Bluey visits home, that little puppy hiding behind the door with the ball blaster isn't just a random character. That floppy ear is the key visual clue linking her straight to Mackenzie. And the story is far from over. Ludo Studio has officially confirmed a full-length Bluey movie slated for release in 2027. Will the movie bridge the gap between Bluey's childhood and her adult life? Will Indigo become the new main character with Bluey stepping into Bandit's shoes as the parent? From a boy on a beach in the 1980s to a tiny puppy hiding behind a door decades later, Bluey built one of the greatest hidden timelines in animated history. Which part of the timeline surprised you the most? Drop your theories in the comments below, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next breakdown.